into the artist brief. Para Roberto, one of artist Melissa Calderon, which is installed in Roberto Clemente Plaza on 3rd Avenue and 149th Street in the Bronx, achieves this balance by reimagining what a monument can look like. This sort of in-depth community involvement in the commissioning process is a hallmark of Percent and yields an art collection that is profoundly reflective of the people and places of New York City. We rely on both agencies and community partners to make each commission a success. Our colleagues at the Parks Department, Department of Transportation, Department of Design and Construction are all essential to creating an artwork their agencies are involved in. The Public Design Commission, which has oversight over thousands of artworks and markers in the city's collection, are also important partners who help ensure artworks will stand the test of time. Our work across agencies with the Percent panels and with local community representatives foster an open, democratic dynamic that is unique to the Percent for Art program. The commissioning process that we have created here is used as a model across the country. Many artists welcome the opportunity to bring this productive dialogue into their creative process. This process also generates a sense of ownership and buy-in from local communities where a project will reside. We also have to be mindful of the balance on artist vision and local interest, as art designated by committee rarely works. But when a community and artists truly connect, they can create amazing things. None of this is to say that Percent for Art process is always without its bumps. Ask 10 New Yorkers what they think of something, and you get 30 opinions. But process helps channels and incorporate this input into something more productive, generative, and collaborative. Residents are passionate about their neighborhoods and public spaces, and this is a very good thing. Our process harnesses this passion and uses it to help shape public artworks into something that communities feel invested in. Percent for Art has often provided an opportunity for early career artists to have their first major commission. In fact, it is the case for over 85% of the artists we work with. We work closely with artists on designs and to navigate concerns that they may not encounter in their studio practice or when presenting work in galleries or museums. Issues like, can someone climb their artwork, for example? How will materials weather over time? Avoiding pointy edges and angles, and so on. Creating public art is a whole new practice and discipline for many artists, and we are here to help them navigate the process. More recently, Percent for Art has been central in efforts to diversify the city's overall collection. The first project announced under this initiative is the monument honoring Shirley Chisholm, planned for Prospect Park. Designed by artists Amanda Williams and Olalekan Jafus, the Chisholm Monument recently received conceptual approval from the Public Design Commission, and we're now working with the artists to further refine their design. Several other projects in this initiative were announced just before the pandemic, which grounded them to a halt before planning really got started. We are now ready and excited to get more of these back underway. Even before this new focus, we were commissioning artists from diverse backgrounds to create monumental artworks in our city. For instance, artist Hank Willis Thomas's Unity on Tillery Street in downtown Brooklyn, an enormous arm raised from the medium and pointing to the sky in a gesture that's open to interpretation. At 70 Mulberry Street in Manhattan's Chinatown, a community hub which suffered a devastating fire in January 2020 and is rebuilt by the city, we recently commissioned artist Jennifer Wen Ma to work with the building's designers to create an artwork that reflects the facility's central role for its surrounding community. Whether we call them monuments or not, these large-scale pieces are shaping our public spaces and connecting with deep currents of history, identity, and values which run throughout our communities. In addition to community buy-in, another measure of success is Percent for Arts are the awards that our projects and the artists who create them receive. In the last 5 years, Percent for Art has received 11 awards of excellence in design, over 1/5 of all such awards given. And one award was a special recognition for the Percent for Art program itself. Our artists have gone on to be inducted into the National Academy of Design, They've received MacArthur Awards. Jeffrey Gibson, who received 2% for art commissions, including one at PS 26 in Brooklyn, will represent the U.S. at the 2024 Venice Biennale, the first indigenous artist to have a solo exhibition in the U.S. Pavilion there. And they've continued to create works in the public realm across New York and beyond. Hank Willis Thomas just created a new monument honoring Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King in Boston. Gene Shin created a mural from repurposed buttons at the new Perlman Performing Arts Center in Lower Manhattan. As I mentioned earlier, we're proud that Percent for Art provides so many artists a prominent entry point into creating permanent public commissions. For the program's 40th anniversary, which we've been celebrating throughout the year, we've had a number of opportunities to highlight Percent projects. Starting in May, the steps of City Hall were wrapped in images from Percent for Art commissions in the 5 boroughs. Later last month, we led fully booked tours and engagement of Percent projects as part of Open House New York weekend, and we've got more in store in the weeks and months ahead. We're proud of the hundreds of public artworks created over the lifetime of the program, from Ellen Harvey's Mathematical Star in the heart of Bed-Stuy, to Josiah Booker's Sugar on My Bowl 2 in Weeksville Heritage Center, and to the Totally Kids Carousel in Harlem's Riverbank State Park, which kids had the active role in designing, to Nobuo Nagasawa's Luminescence in Long Island City. The list goes on, but these artworks are so important to the sense of place in each of these locations and do so much to bring the brilliance of the city's artists into lives of New Yorkers every day. In 2017, then Councilmember Laurie Cumbo co-sponsored legislation that updated Percent for Art funding formula for the first time since the program was created, increasing the funding allotment to artworks and adjusting for realities of inflation and the cost of fabrication has allowed us to create more durable, high-quality works. Due in part to this update, we've been very excited to have dozens of projects in the pipeline. Artist Oasa Duvernay is creating a series of reflective portraits of influential authors from the African diaspora from Brooklyn for the Brooklyn Public Library Eastern Parkway branch. Artist David Rios is creating a vibrant mural inspired by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, short stories at the Hunters Point Library. Christopher Myers is creating 2 site-specific stained glass installations for the renovated Brownsville Library in Brooklyn. Tatiana Rocha, The Hawk and the Heron, will grace a new annex in the Snug Harbor Music Hall on Staten Island. And Katrine Sigadorotir commissioned one of the upcoming Rego Park libraries in Queens, consisting of a large mural that will be integrated within the library and an artist book that will be included into the library's collection. The more involved our partners are, including City Council, the more successful the program can be. We need you to recommend artists for our community, from your communities to submit to our registry. We need you to encourage panels, to engage in panels when projects are commissioned in your district. Together, we can make sure the next 40 years of this program continues to see it bringing artworks to our city in both bold and community-driven, just like the rest of our city. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you for your testimony. I wanted to start by asking, where can we guide artists and folks that we know to submit to your artist registry?
Okay, so we have a Percent for Art website specifically put aside for artists to submit, email address specifically for artists to submit information to, and it's percentinfo@culture.nyc.gov.
And what's the timeline in which artists who are submitting their work to this website, what's the timeline on them seeing, coming through a panel process and potentially being evaluated for having their art presented in one of these public arts?
So we have a rolling application process,
okay,
and we always have a number of projects in the works. There's also no guarantee that, sure, if you submit to the registry, you will be given a commission. So, it's, as soon as possible, you put it in the pool and we show the work, and hopefully you'll be called as a finalist. So there's no definitive timeline. It's constantly being activated.
And how many applications or submissions do you see a year?
It depends. So sometimes we do a call to artists for specific projects, and we get an influx of applicants in our registry. Other times it's just flowing regularly. So I would say, about 200 a year.
Okay. And how do you get the word out in terms of folks who apply? Is it solely through DCLA, something that you put out in an email blast, or what's the medium in which you get the word out about folks who could submit?
So we get the word out in a number of different ways. So for every time we start a project, that first meeting of the community board, for example, we use that as an opportunity to let people know that this is an opportunity, and we get the word out. When we have a new project that we are requiring, that we want to solicit new artists, we may do a call to artists and get the word out that way. We will put it through our social media accounts. We may take out an ad in NYFA, and other ways like that. So this is some of the ways that we get the word out.
I'm not sure if you do this already, because I don't think I've noticed this, but it could have been slipped in my inbox. But do you guys do any outreach to local council members and elected officials on making sure that they're aware that
yes,
that they can send
whenever
this out
we
too?
start a project, that's the first thing we do is we
Okay.
send a letter to the local council members, letting them know that the project exists, and asking them for suggestions of artists and panelists as well.
And in terms of the panel, is it a different panel per project?
Yes, every single panel is tailored to the community and the
Okay.
project.
Very cool. Another question that I wanted to ask is, I think you answered this in terms of like how the panels are chosen. Is that, community board members, local elected officials, stakeholders within the community, they correspond with DCLA, and DCLA picks those panelists through their discretion?
Yeah, and so we don't just pick, if you want to participate in the process, you can participate in the process one of two ways. You would either be a voting member, and we choose voting members with a community tie-in, but with an art background or some kind of art knowledge. And our advisors include anyone else who wants to participate, including the general public in our panel process.
Before my next question, I want to acknowledge that Councilmember Fidias has joined us. I also want to, and I'm not sure, I think you may have touched on this in your testimony, but the funding for these works comes through DCLA's larger pot of funding. Is that correct? No?
No.
Okay.
The funding for the Percent for Art projects come from the capital project itself.
Okay.
So we take a percentage of that to
Perfect.
commission
Okay.
the artwork.
Yeah. And what's that specific percentage for those capital projects that goes towards art?
So there's a whole math attached to that. As of 2018, it's 1% of the first 50 million,
Okay.
and 0.5% above that, with not required to exceed $900,000 per project.
And how much of around, what is the commission that these artists get for these projects?
So our commissions range from $50,000 art budget to $1 million. And the artist gets, just for being the artist, 20% of whatever that art budget is. And the rest of the funds goes towards the fabrication, installation, anything that has to do with the creation of the artwork.
Is DCLA currently required to report on the current status of the Percent for Art program and the progress of the commissioned works?
Yes, and so once the projects are complete, we sort of list them on open data. And whenever we have a community board meeting, or a public meeting rather, we put that information on our website.
And in your own beliefs, do you find that the Percent for Art has actually made art more accessible to the people in the public of New York City?
Yes, and I've been, this is my second time around with the program, having started as an intern. And within the art world, we don't get to, the majority of the public don't get to go to museums and galleries, right? Sometimes it's a little bit of an intimidation factor. And so bringing artwork in spaces that is publicly accessible, that the public interacts with on a regular basis, quality artwork, it already gives access to artworks that people aren't necessarily gonna get otherwise.
Does DCLA have like a map of all of the public arts that exist in the city?
So there's a lot of public art that exists in the city that's not commissioned by us.
That's not commissioned by
Yeah.
you. That
Uh,
is commissioned by you. Is that
Yeah,
mapped
yes,
out?
we have a map. I don't know if it's online yet, but we have created a map to show where the projects are, and we present it as part of our presentation sometimes, so people get a sense of where they're distributed.
So that's currently in progress. That's currently being worked on.
Yeah, and we're also working on a website, hopefully,
Oh, cool.
knock on wood.
I'd love to see it when it's live. How many public art commissions are currently in progress?
We have about 105 working on today.
Okay. That's fantastic. And you said it's around, I mean, it ranges per year in terms of the capital funding projects that.
So
take place per year?
the per year is hard to calculate
Uh-huh.
because sometimes it starts, and then it continues, and so it's a rolling kind of scheduling kind of thing. But yeah, we have 105 that we're working on right now.
And could you give me a range of what buildings or facilities these projects are commissioned in?
So any capital project that the city is building is eligible, but we can't do all the projects, obviously. So our focus is on the ones that are very community interactive, community-based, community necessity. Well, so we always do schools, we'll always do libraries, and we may do courthouses and stuff, things like sewage treatment plants. It may come in a little later, but and we look at how they're distributed throughout the 5 boroughs. We look at how the community is interacting with those spaces to make the determination as to what types of projects that we do.
Would you say that these projects are geographically distributed on an equitable level or scale?
Well, we go where the construction happens, and so just looking at the projects that we've done, working on now, and we've done in the past, the majority are in Queens. And then I think Brooklyn is second, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Staten Island follows.
And how many new public art commissions are currently in the artist or building facility selection phase?
Give me 1 second, I think I have a number for that. We have 17 currently in that building phase right now.
And what is the timeline for these decisions?
Our timeline is the same timeline as the construction
Okay.
project timeline. So whatever those are, that we align with that as much as possible.
Is there at least one public art project in each council district?
That's hard to tell, which we have them throughout the entire 5 boroughs, and chances are they fall in many council districts, but we could come back to you with the answer to that question to be more precise.
Before I continue, do any of my colleagues have questions? Thank you so much I'm looking forward to getting that answer back in terms of if there's a public art or how many there are broken down by district. I think that'd be interesting to see.
We can do that for you.
Whenever you have the time to do that. I know you guys have a lot to do. What obstacles have you faced in operating the program?
Ooh, that's a good question. So one of the things that we have had to deal with recently is, like I mentioned, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of our program, and a lot of the earlier projects that we've commissioned, we've learned a lot of lessons. Since then, need maintenance and conservation, and so some of these obstacles, these are some of the things that we're dealing with right now, and how to take care of the collection, particularly in the past, and remedy them moving forward.
Do you know if you have a breakdown on how many of the artists who are commissioned to do this work actually live in New York City? Do all of them live in New York City, or do you see some artists who are international across the country?
So our program is not limited to artists from New York City, and we could look to see how many are from New York City and give you a count at some other time. But it's open to the world practically. That's
great that it's open to the world. It would be interesting to see, if there was a mandate or a requirement for, a percentage of the Percent for Art program to be held aside for specific New York City-based artists. What do you think of that? Would that be too restrictive for your own liking, or?
So with every single project, we sort of tap into the community first and reach out to artists there first. And see what happens. Artists are very nomadic,
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes an artist lives in Brooklyn but works in Queens and has, you know, a studio in Long Island. You know, so it's very hard to sort of to label where an artist is from and how they're affected. What we focus on mostly is the site-specific response to a community that an artist is creating, and so that's what we focused on.
So in terms of some of the obstacles that you are seeing in terms of operating the program, what resources would be needed, maybe in help from the council to alleviate those obstacles?
Well, we always like the council to participate in our process to see how what we're doing and sort of encourage artists to submit images for consideration into the registry, come to our panels and participate in the conversations that happen around them. Like I mentioned before, you know, maintenance and conservation is something that's very big for us because it really limits what we can do in the future and how we commission work. So these are some of the obstacles that we're facing.
Is there any, have you found through this program any public-private partnerships for public art?
We have had a few projects where it's partially privately funded, but you know we've been very fine with just working with what we have with the city.
And what kind of projects were those private?
So sometimes it has been the ones that I can remember right now, it was an underpass in Dumbo that is owned by DOT, but you know the facilities, the community around them wanted a more robust artwork, so the private funds were raised. There was a piece across from the United Nations in Trivoli Plaza, which the UN or someone from the added some funds to that. It was a parks project, so you know it's opportunities like that, and you know we have done.
So, has there ever been a situation where, you know, a private developer is building a large housing development or unit and has dedicated a portion of, you know, those private funds towards public art or through DCLA through a program?
We have not encountered that.
No. What criteria are used to determine which artists will be chosen through the paneling process?
So we have criteria where, so there's two parts to that. There's two parts to that question. First is who we look at, and we tap into artists that respond to the local community as much as possible. Sometimes it means that the artists are from that community. Sometimes it means that their practice is very integration, is very collaborative and really speaks to the community that way. So that's one part. And the other criteria is the work itself. Does it speak to the community once it's in proposal form? Does it reflect the needs of the community in terms of how the community wants to be identified? So these are some of the things that we think about when selecting an artist.
This may sound like a stupid question, but how long do some of these public works stay in the public for? Are they contracted for a set amount of time, or
the process could take, you know, is tied to the schedule of the project, first of all, and the project has to last. The completed project has to last at least 30 years.
Okay. But it can go. A public art could stay there longer than 30 years.
Oh yeah. We rarely gotten rid of any projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, 30 years is the length of the bond that the project is attached to. But most of our projects have lasted longer than that.
I was just wondering, because you have like the Marcy Math Circle, which is in my district, and there's like a Burger King in the picture. It's not a Burger King anymore. I was just wondering. How do you ensure that artists are representative of other important groups, such as LGBTQIA+ individuals and individuals with disabilities? Is that something that DCLA provides some oversight over when it comes to the paneling, the process that panelists use in choosing an artist, or?
So we sort of really lean on the community for those aspects. We can't ask somebody what their gender is. So.
And how do you determine the specific location where each project will be displayed?
Within the project itself. So we have a meeting with the architects and what we call the core review group of the design team to determine what is the most visually accessible parts of a project. What is that? And then we use that as a taking off point for looking at the types of artists that are being considered.
Do you collect data at all in terms of demographic breakdown of the artists who are commissioned for these pieces based off of maybe race, gender, sexual orientation?
So within our process, we have what we call an artist proposal contract.
Okay.
And within that contract, it sort of lays out, all that is required of the artist, and there's an optional choice to label how you wish to be identified. And very rarely, artists do not complete that. So we don't have a really good sense of how that breakdown is. We do have a good sense of gender because from respecting an artist and communicating with them, we want to refer them by the proper pronouns. So we have a sense of how many female or non-binary versus male artists that we're working with.
How are potential new artists made aware of the program? Is there any outreach that DCLA has with maybe some art schools within the city, things of that nature?
Again, we do the outreach when we do a commission, the work that we do ahead of that project. Once in a while, we do a call, word of mouth. We're very prominent, I like to say, in terms of the commissioning process in the public art world, and people, knock on wood, likes to work with us. So we're open to suggestions as well, if you have some.
Is there, I don't know how to ask this question, but is there a process in which a public art is rejected? Like, has the community ever seen like the end product of an artist's piece, and have they been like, I don't know if we want that?
That could happen, but our process has a number of different reviews. So again, we first meet with, before we even start our process, we meet with the community board. When the project is in a design, conceptual design phase, we present it again to the community board. Once after that, it comes to the Public Design Commission for a public hearing. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to see and understand what the artwork is. So in terms of reject, it's a sense of taste and, in an artwork.
Like what are some criteria why an artist would not be chosen for a public art piece?
So we don't have not be chosen criteria necessarily. So for every project, we show at least 4 to 6 artists come in with proposals. And sometimes it's hard to even tell the artist why their proposal wasn't selected. It's just a choice of one versus the other. So it's hard to say, well, you were rejected per se. It's just a choice in
Subjective.
Style, design, idea.
How long does it take for DCLA to notify the selected artist?
Sometimes one day.
Wow.
So we have a meeting. Well, it depends on what the project is. So we have 2 sets of projects with schools. It requires an approval from the president of the School Construction Authority before we can notify the artist. Non-school projects, it could be a day or a few days.
Do you make those calls yourself?
I don't, but one of the staff members make the
Probably
calls.
a fun call to make, right?
Yeah. We tell them the good news and the bad news, so this is one of the worst parts of the project.
You tell them the bad news?
We tell the people who didn't get it, they didn't get it, and the people who did get it,
On the phone, or do you do an email?
On the phone, voice, yes.
Councilmember Fridias?
Sorry, formality with the mic. I just had a quick question around, one, I think all of this work is fantastic. Thank you for supporting our local artists and also bringing like cultural aspects and arts into our communities. Super important. Is there any revenue generation for the city, or what's it like in terms of stipends or payments towards the artists for their participation?
So we pay artists throughout their entire process. From
Awesome.
If they're a panelist, we pay them as a panelist. If they're finalists, we pay them to do a proposal.
Wow.
And once they're selected, a portion of that artist, the art budget is an artist fee. So they're paid throughout the process.
And-
whenever we ask them to do something.
Awesome. That's amazing to hear. That's like one of the gaps that we have in the art world, right? Is making sure people are getting paid for their works. Additionally to that, most of these works are permanent, correct?
All the works we commission through the Percent for Art is
All of them are.
permanent.
Okay, and is there any like long-term commission fee or payment fee for the artist for having that artwork within the city or within like a library or a train station, whatever? Or is just whatever they're contracted for and receive as their fee is permanent?
Yeah, the fee is attached to the contract, and
Okay.
once the contract is done, the responsibility is complete, and so is the funding associated with the project.
Okay, great. And do we have an estimate of what totals for, like on average, an artist? Like through
What-
the process of how much they make from participating in the process, like from beginning to end?
All the budgets are different per project,
Got it.
and so a quick and dirty number is 20% of whatever the overall project is.
Okay,
If the artist is self-fabricating, then they get to pay themselves in addition to the artist fee to pay themselves to make the work. So it's hard to do a ballpark for all the projects together, but individually we know that those numbers.
awesome. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
And you said it's ranged from like $50,000 to $1 million, right?
Yeah, the smallest project that
Imagine
we've done
getting
is
that call.
$50,000.
Hey, look at that. You have to submit next time.
Yeah, so for every project, from the 50,000 to the million, the artist fee is 20% of that budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a problem we see a lot in the city. How long does it take for these artists to get paid for their work?
So, again, it all depends. So, the way the artist gets paid, the artist is a subcontractor of the general contractor, the architect, or the design individual for the project. And so an artist invoices that individual, that individual invoices the design agency, the agency pays them, and then they pay the artist. So that could take a couple of months. When we do our contract and our milestones, we make sure that the artist is not doing any work without getting paid. So the first payment comes in when the artist signs a contract. So there's funds in pocket to do anything that we ask them to do during the process.
Have there been any obstacles with DCLA paying artists on a timely manner?
Yeah, because again, the process that we have to go through to get the artist paid is sometimes unpredictable, and that could create some issues.
Is there anything that we can do to help alleviate some of those obstacles?
We could do some research and see how we could help. That would be great. Thank you.
And what is the administrative cost to DCLA of handling this program?
I don't know if the top of my, you mean like our salaries and whatnot?
How many staff are dedicated to it?
So yes, so we have a staff of 5, and myself as the assistant commissioner. Sergio is the director of the program. We have an individual who works on our temporary art program, Emilio. We have someone specifically for our school projects, Noel, and a community coordinator engagement person that spans all our programs, David.
Do you anticipate that funding for this program will increase, decrease, or stay about the same in the next couple of years?
For the Percent for Art program, we hope that it's tied to what the city builds, and if that increases, ours increase. If it decreases, we decrease as well. But it has stayed the same for many years.
I guess the last question that I have for you is, I mean, this is a wonderful program. No notes, right? For the most part. How can we make it bigger and better?
Bigger, better. More staff, perhaps.
More staff.
We do more. And I'm going to harp on this issue with the conservation and maintenance. That would allow us to do better types of projects. So let me explain. So if we find a partner that is able to maintain electronics, let's say, or lighting or machinery that moves our technology, then that means we could commission that kind of work because that partner will be able to maintain that for many years in the future. Now we are working with materials that are very durable, that needs very little maintenance. They're fantastic, but you know, if something is to go beyond that, then that's what I would say.
Yeah, I really appreciate hearing that, and I liked how you said in your testimony how you know, the program like this exists because not everyone has access to art. You know, whether it's their geographic location from a museum or not. You know, sometimes the ticket to go to a museum. So, you know, even just having some public art within their neighborhoods is really cool. I think I would really love to get that breakdown per council district. You know, a bill that I'm trying to push is, you know, creating a mandate for how many public works should be in each council district, especially, you know, within communities that may be in the outer boroughs or further away from maybe our most popular museums. And I think just having that breakdown, as well as a mapping system that you will have, could just be a really cool component of epitomizing the fact that New York City is a museum in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
Your own neighborhood consists of various different art projects from local artists and artists from across the world. I think that's extremely unique, and a program like this is a way that we can continue to amplify that messaging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now turn to public testimony. For in-person panelists, please come up to the table once your name has been called. For virtual panelists, please, once your name is called, a member of our staff will unmute you and the Sergeant at Arms will set the timer and give you the go-ahead to begin. Please wait for the Sergeant to announce that you may begin before delivering your testimony. Now I will call our first in-person panel. Roy Pingel, Tom Gogan, Marion Phyllis Cunningham, and Gloria Brandman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members. Thank you very much. Just like to say that the provisions of public art is an essential service, and cultural workers are essential workers, just like I'd say nurses, doctors, teachers, librarians, mental health workers, excuse me, are essential workers. Be it in healthcare, schools, libraries, housing, transportation, veterans assistance, the creation of public arts in our communities. Our communities need help that goes beyond the city's budget to the budget to suffice. Spending so much of our taxes on the Pentagon war budget is wasteful, profligate, destructive, and starving us, our city, from resources necessary for here in our city. What could be more fitting than the legislature of the largest city in the country, the New York City Council, leading the way to help save our cities by calling on the federal government to move the money from war to our communities by getting Resolution 423 first on the agenda and then passing it. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Tom Gogan. I live in Brooklyn. I'm an appreciator of public art in our libraries and schools. I especially like the murals and the artwork that we see all around us, and I think that the 1% program is a great program. I also want to congratulate this committee on its work so far this year. It's put forward several very good resolutions. And I want to underline what my associate Roy Pingle just said. we really do need more resources in this city to provide for even more public art, to provide for more help for our schools, for our hospitals, for our social services, for our homeless, for our veterans. There are many, many areas where the city, great as it is, needs more resources, and that's why it's so important that this committee, which was charged with holding hearings on Resolution 423 as of last December 7th, when that resolution was introduced. We don't understand why, with a majority now in the City Council and a significant majority right on this committee, why that Resolution 423 has not had a hearing, but we suggest there's still time. We hope that it will happen. We encourage all members of the committee and its good chair, Chiose, to make every effort to get this to move forward this year. Not only the hearing, but a voting committee, and then a vote, and then bringing it to the floor. It's a resolution. It does not require more than a simple majority. In our democracy, normally democracy rules. So once again, we do want to see this go forward. It's so important that our city speak up and encourage the federal government to shift its priorities, support the arts, support our children, support our elderly, support our veterans. We need tremendous amount of resources which could be provided to the city if just a significant chunk of military spending were instead redirected to our communities. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Gloria Brandman. I am a retired New York City special education teacher, and I taught for many, many years. And I just want to say, one of the things that we used to do is go on community walks with my classes, and we really enjoyed the public art that we saw. I was in District 13, and there was always something by the Navy Yard or down by in Dumbo, and so I really enjoyed and learned a lot from the hearing, because I really didn't know where these art pieces came from. So I really, really encourage it that it be continued, the Present for Art program, even expanded. And in terms of my input for that, I would love younger artists to also be included in that, and I don't know how you would get it. Even elementary school kids, they do wonderful artwork. We would go back into our classroom and discuss it and do art. So please continue that. It's a great program. And it should be expanded. Now, I'm gonna try not to repeat what my two friends here already said about the resolution, about move the money, Resolution 423, which would put New York City on display, making a big statement to the rest of the world how our money needs to be used for our communities, for our artwork. And right now, we do know that this resolution is in the hands of the Committee of Cultural Affairs. You need to have a hearing and a vote so that it can go to the full council. We thought this was a democratic city council and that the committees had the right to decide what they were going to vote on and what they were not going to vote on, and they didn't need to be told from a higher up that they can do it. So please, stand your ground, Cultural Affairs council people. Hold a quick vote. A majority of city council people have already signed on and endorsed it. So if it can finally get to the whole council to vote on it, it will probably pass. Let's do it before this council goes on recess until the next year. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you to this panel. Our next in-person panel will be Georgia Weaver.
Chairman Osei and Member Farias. The closest, I live in Chelsea. The closest artwork to us is the High Line. which is not really accessible because of the stairs and because the elevators are usually out of order. We may have to walk 4 or 5 blocks to get down to an elevator that's working. And my library, the Muhlenberg, has been closed for over a year. It sits there very desolate and empty. And there's a sign that says it's going to be renovated, but there's nothing going on right now. So we have needs in our community, in spite of the wealth that's been brought in certain segments due to the High Line. We still have a sizable project, the Penn South, that is primarily older people. It's a NORC, a naturally occurring retirement community, of which I'm one. But when you talk to people about needing all these things and about how we could have a better life, they think that it's because of the budget cuts from the mayor. But we know that we're really not broke. There is money that's available for us to have a better life. And that is because we have not really addressed the needs of people through the largest national budget item in the United States, and that's the military budget. It's the budget that pays for wars. And every time I pick up a magazine or a report, I can see that a small percentage, a relatively tiny percentage of the military budget is available without injuring the military-industrial complex and the arms manufacturers to whom most of this goes through, without harming any of the wars that we're committing around the world, that it would be small enough for us to be able to use it for hundreds and thousands of schools, that a small percentage could be used for art projects and libraries like mine, the Muhlenberg. So that's why I am very happy to know that so many people on this committee have co-sponsored this resolution 423, which I think would inform people about what they need to know, that so many things are possible. If we would just get behind this, the anti-war movement, I guess you would call it, in order to have a better life for everybody. And I would appreciate this council, this committee, if they would keep pushing on that and use whatever strength that you have to get us hearings before the public. One in every borough, one in every library, honestly, to make the public aware of what's possible in our lives. And I would thank you very much for that. Do you have any questions for me? Sure.
Thank you. This concludes our in-person testimony. If we inadvertently missed anyone who would like to testify in person, please visit the sergeant's table and complete a witness slip now. We will now turn to our remote testimony, and our first panelist will be Theo Chino. Please wait for the sergeant at arms to announce that you may begin before starting your testimony.
Now.
Hi. My name is Theo Chino. I am the first National Secretary of the Social Democrat of America, the socialist faction of the Democratic Party, also known as the Committee of the Second Socialist International. We are referred as type 2 socialists, and you can check out our socialist.us website to understand the differences. Or join us at the Continental Atrium at 100 Maiden Lane on November 13 at 7 p.m. We type 2 socialists locally and worldwide through the Socialist International and the Progressive Alliance believes that to promote general welfare, artists' endeavor is an important part to ensure domestic tranquility to promote general welfare. If we, socialists, are elected, we would like to expand the art project budget not to 1%, but to 5% to be allocated to all agencies according to the allocation, so to include the public space everywhere, such as welfare office, NYPD and FDNY precinct, hospital, as well as many other city agency-owned buildings. Art is not only for the public, but for the employee working in those city space. Visual art is also an important medium to ensure mental health of the citizenry and should be available in every corner of the city. A happy public employee translates in a good interaction with the public they are meant to serve. We would also amend the construction law that the new construction building include a percentage of their budget allocated by the private sector to the public art to be viewed by the public. Another idea with Socialist Type 2 is to have the desire to tax the rich so we can allocate those 5%. And as I just learned, if socialists are elected city council member, we would not sit on Resolution 423 when a majority of the council has co-sponsored the resolution. The council should be ashamed of themselves. In 2025, we will be calling out every elected official for not pushing legislation that looked like Resolution 423, where the majority of the council have co-sponsored the resolution but not voted on it.
Time expired.
I want to know more. If you want to know more, join us at the Continental Atrium on 180 Maiden Lane on November 13 at 7 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you to this panelist. That concludes our Zoom panelists. We have one more registrant who I'm going to call, but it doesn't appear she's online. Ruth Flory.
Time starts now.
Okay, that concludes our Zoom testimony. If we missed anyone who would like to testify virtually, please use the raise hand function and I will call on you. Seeing no one else, I would like to note that written testimony, which will be reviewed in full by committee staff, may be submitted up to the record up to 72 hours after the close of this hearing by emailing it to testimony@council.nyc.gov, and I will turn it to the chair for closing statements.
Thank you so much, and this hearing is adjourned.